Okay, so I'm in forecast.ios.js. This is our second route, second screen, another component. We import this file from search.ios.js. And I wanted to bring your attention to this style. It's called Flex. This is how we can use the Flexbox layout system. It's really nice. It allows us to focus on development instead of messing up with margin and positioning elements. So what it uses flex direction. So flex 01, it's like a boolean. You enable it, and then you would use row or column. So row, it will position things horizontally. In a column, it would position them vertically. And this would be the row, so inside of the row we would have a few text elements. And then other pretty much self-explanatory other components, very similar to CSS, but not exactly the similar, so please refer to the documentation. So let's start and implement the small tiny function that will convert cell degrees to Fahrenheit. For us Americans, we would use mass.round, and we would multiply by 1.8, add 32, and then get the number with the 2 decimal points after the point. The forecast row, that's the row of each individual forecast. And I'm using a stateless component here, which is just a function using fat arrow function syntax from ES6. Unfortunately, ES6 didn't come with a skinny arrow, which I really love from CoffeeScript. So CoffeeScript still rocks. In the row, we would have view, and then another view, and then we would have text. They all have styles. So the idea is that each forecast has a different date and time, and each temperature. So we want to output the temperature, and I think they go in the interval of 3 hours. So dt_text, that's date and time. And weather.description, that would be a text description of the weather, for example, rainy, cloudy, sunny, etc. And then we get the temperature, which is in metric system, and convert using slash, and also invoke that function C2F to convert it to Fahrenheit. We close all the tags. It's important to close all the tags properly. Now we need to implement the actual forecast component. So again, I'm just exporting this component right away, because I'm not using this component in this file, so I don't need a variable, I don't need a reference. So I'm just using module.export, which is Node.js syntax. If you're not familiar with it, please go learn about it. Node.js, it's everywhere right now. So this forecast, it doesn't even have any methods except the render, and we're just returning the scroll view. What is good about the scroll view is that you can put a lot of content into it, and we know there would be a lot of content. The list view would be very long, so we want to give the users the ability to scroll through that content. We don't just want to use the view. And then I'm using text just as a header. I want to output the city name, because what would happen if you enter one city name and then the server cannot find that? So you want to make sure that this is exactly the city you're looking at, right? So this data comes from the response, it comes from the server. It does not come from your input field on the search screen. And then I'm using list view. The interesting thing is that it uses data source and then the render row. So those two properties, the render row takes our stateless component, forecast row, and then the data source, it takes that forecast data, that special data. So you cannot use arrays here, normal arrays. You can still use array instead of this whole thing, instead of the whole list view. But I just wanted to show you how to use list views, and with list views you need to use the data source. Okay, so far we have 3 files for the React Native. Let's implement the local server. So this is a response.json that I just copied. It's a response to the query for London in UK or Great Britain. And it's just a normal JSON file. You can copy it from my GitHub or the source code. And then I'm creating this file, weather API, just in case you want to test your app locally and you don't want or you don't have the connection, or if the RESTful API changes its format. They always do that for some reason. So I'm using core HTTP method and I'm just importing the response.json. Did you know that you can use required to import JSON objects, not just module? It's pretty cool. But your JSON must be proper JSON, so it must have double quotes, it must have just a single object, no two objects at the root. And then I'm using http.create server, and I'm just sending that JSON as a string. So I'm stringifying it, and I'm not even checking for routes or URLs. I'm just, whatever URL is, whatever method is, you will always get this JSON. So now I'm back to the terminal, and I'm cding into my folder. So you can see I have all these files. So first of all, let me start my small RESTful server. While this server is still running, I want to open another tab. It's exactly the same folder, and what I want to do, I want to start the bundler, React Native bundler, and I do it with React Native space start from the project folder. And it should start another server that will serve my React Native files, the JavaScript files for the iOS project, for the Xcode project. So I think it's working. That's good. The next step is to actually open the project in Xcode. If you haven't installed Xcode, this is a great time to do it. And I already have it saved as one of my previous projects. If you never opened it, you can select it from the file, open, and then navigate to the weather, go to iOS, and then select weather.xcode proj. Then click open. Then select the device that you want to use. I prefer to use iPhone 6. And click on play. You can also select from the menu product run. First time it's building and launching the simulator. It will take a few minutes. But when you actually do the development after the simulator has started and after everything is being built, it's very easy to reload the mobile app in your simulator. So that's one of the greatest advantages. So this is our simulator, and as you can see, the tool, the Xcode, and the simulator automatically open the React DevTools and in the Chrome. And they say open the Java Developer Console, which you can do from the menu, or you can use the shortcut Command Option and J. JavaScript console, that's what we're looking for. And you already can see that our console log is saying that we got the value San Jose. This is wonderful. That means it is working as it should be. So the developer tools are great. You can do a lot of things with it. If you don't have tools open automatically, go to your simulator, go to your hardware and click on Shake Gestures. You would see this menu, and it will tell you run Chrome for debugging or enable Chrome for debugging. Mine says disable Chrome debugging because I already have it enabled. But if you have it disabled, it will say enable. You can also reload and enable live reloading. So you can play with that as well. So now let's go ahead and change it to something else. It doesn't really matter because we're using the local server. We click search. So as you see now, the value was remembered as London. And we see the temperatures that look about right. 7 Celsius degrees is 45 Fahrenheit. Then we have the search button to go back. Click on it, it goes back. Searches. Bring us to the forecast again. Okay, so what happened if we turn it off? Okay, so it says toggle true, but that was right before the change of the toggle value. So now if we search and we refresh the command R, it should be empty. Okay, so it's empty because the previous value was removed, and in fact when we try to get it, it's null. So everything is working. That's pretty much it for this project. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.